Hey, welcome back to Nation Builders Church International. The world has changed now. I think yesterday and today, the world has moved into a new dimension. I think a lot of people who are watching what is happening globally, the Iran supreme leader is down, which was, I believe, pre-planned exclusively. And with a very calculated risk, I believe this administration has done what it has done. Thank God for the Bible that built this nation called America, that made leaders of that nation to deliver such decision, to liberate. We're talking about, the world is divided in two sides. The religious, stagnated, legalistic countries one side, regime, dictators one side, and the free world another side, which values human dignity, human life, and freedom, all of that. The world is basically divided, and this regime had been defying, I believe, United States of America, and joins this nation, North Korea and Russia, which each one having their own personal agendas in terms of oil and all of that. And but this decision, I believe, has opened up, world again. I believe it is shaking the world. We got to just wait and watch the moves of Russia and China next couple of days, and the possible ceasefire, and the ultimate goal of regime change in this country. I believe, there are some 30,000 people who gave their lives. I wish this adamant leader had listened to them and adopted the secular country that they all wished for. Anyway, so the gun is gone now. But now what we're looking at, if the regime collapses, and when Iran becomes free, that establishes a platform in the Middle East, to continue the toppling of all the other countries, I believe. Because freedom is the oxygen of the soul. Somebody said it. You see, so once the people, test this in the Middle East, I believe all these nations that are being bound, I'm sure, Afghanistan will be overthrown very, very shortly. And I believe this trend will continue, to liberate, all these countries that are being bound with these dictators who have bound these countries. And as we had already watched the Iranians, I believe they would definitely be the beacon of hope and light, as they're very close allies to Israel and United States of America now. I believe freedom has just stepped into the Middle East, and I believe it is just going to, crack open every country, liberating every country, paving the world for the kingdom also to invade. You see, we got to look at the warfare in two different dimensions. See, the warfare that God has entrusted to the church is the ideological warfare. But when the church takes the back seat, and church at large is deceived again, just like this supreme leader was deceived, church in many countries is deceived. I am saying something very, very important, because the church is actually entrusted with this warfare. You see, Jesus never took a sword to fight, but guess what he did? He runs his kingdom globally. 2.3 billion people follow him to the ends of this earth. That's leadership, my friend. Leadership that lays down his life, washes the feet of his own disciples, dies, as a good friend dying for a friend. Jesus modeled a very different lifestyle. And that warfare is given to the church. And thank God for all the missionaries who've been working into these difficult countries, into Iran, into Iraq, and to Middle East. Middle East, as people know, terrible places for the missionary work and all that. You see, but as Paul says, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. You see, the weapons that God has given to us are mighty through God in pulling down stronghold. See, Islam is a stronghold, my friend, that treats women as the secondary class citizen. Hinduism is a stronghold, my friend. Buddhism is a stronghold, my friend, that have captured these countries. And now you can look at the fruit of those countries. Why did 30,000 people want to, are willing to lay down their lives? 30,000 people perished, took bullet to liberate their country. You see, Trump has moved very, very late, I believe. A lot of people actually lost their life. You see, we're talking about the world at large that is there, that need to be liberated with the weapons of warfare that Christ gave us. And church is engaged in a larger battle, with communism, with the communist nation. I feel we got to understand that. With the Islamic countries that captured the minds of the Islamic believers, Buddhist believers, and that's where the strongholds are there. You see, that's what Paul was saying, right? In 300 years, they were able to see the Roman Empire collapse and the myths dissolved. Myths disappeared. See, that is the exact warfare that we're in. Even in India, and in many, many countries. So what do the church need to do? What do the church need to do, my friend? Church, we need to understand it is a warfare time. We are engaged in battle with the enemy that have sown the lies that have developed these countries that are bound by poverty. See, women cannot go to schools and colleges in Afghanistan. You see, so what is the whole thing behind the entire system there, my friend? Not everything is destroyed by the gun or missile. You see, there are more powerful weapons that are at the disposal of the church, my friend. See, that's why it is absolutely, absolutely important that we take the gospel, to the ends of this earth, because it is the gospel that tells, you see, that all men created equal before God, that you are made in God's image, that God has sent His own Son to die. Just a small lie. Jesus is just a prophet. This man has hold for his entire life, a lie that he believed for 87 long years. One lie that had bound the supreme leader of Iran and therefore bound the entire country. One single lie. That was the reason for the bloodshed that had happened in this country. And same things applies globally to every country. Every country, my friend. That's why Paul talks about, we don't war against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, with the rural, right? Leaders. You see, because Paul has discovered the warfare that actually exists. You see, if there was this lie that had been dismantled, that Jesus was not just a prophet, but Son of the living God, and if the supreme leader understood and read the Bible and served Jesus as his king, understand, I believe, my friend, things would have been much different. The nation would have been much, much different. It is a larger battle, my friend. It is not just the missiles. It is not just the, the tankers and the mighty, weapons that are there. It is not Israel or it is not America. It was supposed to be the church liberating the countries. It was supposed to be the church engaged in the warfare continuously, my friends. But unfortunate to see church just behind the four walls and just waiting for the rapture. When the world is bound with various lies that were spoken by the father of lies. Every false religion is a lie that came out of the pit of hell. The fruit itself will speak about them. You understand? Their fruit. Jesus said, you shall know them by the fruit. Look at the Hindu countries. Look at the Islamic countries. Look at the communist countries. Look at the Buddhist countries. Look at all these countries that are bound by religion only. See, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. All these countries are dying, with deep poverty, economic crisis, the leadership failures. Imran Khan, we had watched him recently, right? He was just, the pictures of him. The man who the world celebrated. I mean, as a great cricketer and as great, one of the prime minister. But what went wrong with this leader? My friend, Bible makes sense. Bible is the only thing, the only ultimate truth that delivers countries. That's what Jesus said, right? You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Truth will set you free. One lie, Jesus is just prophet, versus Jesus is the Son of God, came to die for the sin of this world. One lie had destroyed entire nation of Iran, and is continued to destroy entire Middle East. My friend, one lie is destroying, the Buddhist nations, the Hindu nations. They've been destroyed by the lies that were spoken by the enemy. India is being destroyed with the Hindutva lie, Hindutva ideology. It's a lie from the pit of hell. My friend, where is India today in terms of press freedom, in terms of economy, in terms of inclusive growth, in terms of GDP, and all of that? You see, it is the lie of the enemy, my friend. I believe, but it is time that the church, we read our Bibles clearly, as Paul declared. You see, it is time that we engage in the real spiritual warfare. Amen. May God